with Bloomberg Quint.
Hello and welcome. You are watching Ask BQ on Bloomberg Quint. I am Pradeep Pandya.
Hi everyone, and I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza. Well, this is the show where we address all your stock queries, so you can write to us on Twitter, Facebook, or just call us on 022-4540-4141. You can also mail us at askbq@bloombergquint.com with all your financial queries, and we'll try and address as many as possible on the show. Just remember to add the AskBQ hashtag. Well, let's get in our two experts of the day then. Kiran Jadhav of Kiran Jadhav and Associates and Sandeep Jain of Tradeswift Broking are here to answer all your queries. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and good afternoon to both of you.
Before we get to individual queries, let's have a look at markets. Markets are actually looking tired. If you look at two indices, Nifty has, although kind of recovered from lower levels, struggling still, but back in red, both Sensex and Nifty. But if you look at the mid-cap index, the picture is not that rosy. In fact, both the indices are down. Small cap index is down by around 1%. Market breadth is also weak. So there is a significant amount of profit booking that we see in today's trade. And the volatility index, that is VIX, has also inched up a bit towards 14 now. What is really supporting markets or the index is actually IT. So just like yesterday, it was private banking names, some of the private banking biggies like HDFC and ICICI that were backing. Index today, it's HCL Tech, Infosys, Wipro, all the IT stocks. That's one interesting sector. There are a few gainers in mid-cap space also. You have mid-cap cement doing well. You have Delta Corp rising after positive numbers. But on the other side, you have metals not doing well in today's trade. Banks have slipped after yesterday's rally. If you look at Federal Bank, Capital First, Federal Bank is down after numbers. Capital First has seen sell-off from yesterday's high. Looks like the news is out and now people want to exit. But what is probably worrisome is some of the high beta names. If you look at GVK Power, for example, that corrected from the day's high, is now locked at lower circuit after several upper circuits. And you also have stock Astron Paper, which is continuously locked on the lower circuit, and that number is rising. So I've just picked up two stocks, Navneet, but the number of stocks locked at lower circuit today has gone up significantly, and I think that should be taken seriously.
Yes, that's right, Pradeep. We've seen good amount of profit booking which has come in at these higher levels, and especially as Pradeep highlighted, it is for the broader markets. But let's get going and address our viewer queries for the day. Our first query comes from Rashmi Guhare, writes to us. She's written to us on Facebook. She wants to invest in Cerebra Integrated Technologies with a 6-month view, and she wants to know if this is the right time to invest into this counter. Let me take this query to Kiran. Kiran, yesterday the stock was locked in upper circuit, Cerebra Integrated. Today it's trading with gains of almost 10%. Do you think these are the correct levels for Rashmi to enter into this counter?
Navneet, we believe that the stock has already rallied a bit from a level of 42 to a level of 62 in the last two trading sessions, and the risk to reward will not be favorable. However, if the investor has a medium to long-term outlook, the kind of chart patterns that it has done is quite encouraging. We believe that the investor should buy right now. Stop loss is a bit deep down. Stop loss would be around 36, and we would have a target of around 80 to 90 in a months coming by. So the investor can buy right now and also average by if the stock comes to around 50-54 levels as well.
Okay, so buy now, buy more on any decline. That's a call coming in on Cerebra Integrated. Sandeep Singh writes to us on YouTube. He wants to invest in GVK Power and Infra and GMR Infra with the long-term view. Sandeep wants to know if this is the right time to invest in. Well, Sandeep, there's a query coming from Sandeep, and I'll come to you. Sandeep, what's your call? GVK Power is logged at lower circuit today after several upper circuits that we had seen. If we could just pull up, the chart for last 15 days or so. GMR also has started moving up after a long time. I haven't really checked what's his status today. What do you say?
Regarding these two stocks, they're sort of twin stocks, and somehow I feel that both the stocks are rather going to perform well in the markets. But GVK and GMR have run up very fast in last few days. GMR still has to run up. But about GVK, I feel that one should avoid at these levels. One can wait for some time 2018 levels, because markets have started correcting, and you can see the pain also in the mid cap and small cap space. And today it's just the IT space which has actually saved the markets today. So I feel one has to wait for GVK Power. But as far as GMR Infra is concerned, I think there the risk reward ratio is still better, and 21 can be a good support, and today it has gone up to 23 levels also. Again, it has corrected with the markets, and I feel 29 to 30 rupees can be the short-term target for this stock. And there is one IPO also coming up from the group, GMR Airports. So I think it's a good stock, and there may be some turnaround story also coming up, cooking up in the company. So it's a good story, but staggered buying and buy on declines at around say 21 levels and 19 levels.
Sandeep, but why do you think now the time has come to buy into these stocks? Because for so many years, people have been, those who had bought, either they lost money or they've been just waiting, and the stocks were moving in a range. What has really changed now?
See, lots of things have really changed in, I think, the economy also. And as far as these companies, somehow their problem was their balance sheet, the quality of balance sheet and the debt-heavy balance sheet. So now, the government has also been very sensitive, to these the problems of these companies, and they have started taking initiatives, started expediting things. So I think, and the push the government is going to, show in this budget, I think infra push will certainly help these kind of companies. And these companies are not, smaller companies or, the normal infra companies. They have actually built lots of things for the Indian economy. So I'm very, somehow bullish about these stocks in the long run. Maybe risk reward ratios are different as on date, or maybe it might take some time. But GMR, somehow I feel that, it can really do well. And one can certainly buy at these levels also, and staggered buying can be done at lower levels also. And things will change with these companies, and government is actually very keen on, making things better for these companies.
Okay, that's the view on GMR Infra. Well, the stock's been having a good run, not only today, but in the last few sessions. It's been going up. Remember, it's also in the futures and options market, and it is also in the ban period there. So last 1 month, GMR Infra is up as much as 33%. Let's move on. Our next query for the day comes from Mayank Gujarati, who's calling us all the way from Varanasi. Hi, Mayank. Good afternoon. Thanks a lot for calling us.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much. I have 300 shares on recommendation of some analysts of Som Distilleries for 220 rupees. I want to hold it for a longer period, because since I'm a chemist here, I have a medicine shop. On the recommendation of friend, I purchased the share casually. So I just wanted to know whether it's a safe or should keep it for 5 years or book profit or carry on.
Okay, Mayank, I'll take your query to Sandeep, since you're willing to hold it for 5 years. And Sandeep, he's bought it at around 220, and currently Som Distilleries is quoting at about 270. And it's after multiple years that we're seeing a good rally for the entire liquor space. Do you think he should hold on for the next 5 years, or what would be your target price there if you could advise him?
See, he can hold on to the stock, because somehow I feel that, the whole space will start doing well, and, certainly the consumption space is going to do well in India, and particularly rural consumption is going to go up, and these kind of companies really cater to the rural areas. And I think Som Distilleries, some marquee names have also entered into the stock, invested in the company. So that's why it was there in the limelight also. So I feel with a 5-year view, certainly he has a good amount of time frame, so he can hold on to the stock.
Okay, hold on to the Som Distilleries. That's the call coming in for you. Shravan Kumar writes to us on WhatsApp. He wants to invest in Reliance Industries with a 1-month view. Saravana wants to know if this is the right time to invest. Kiran, technically, what do you think? What should one do? Today, the stock is quoting weak, I guess, down by around 0.5% or so. What's your call?
Reliance is a good long-term bet. I am not betting it on the short term, but the kind of chart pattern it is doing, it is trading in an ascending triangle pattern formation, and the lower end of the ascending triangle pattern will be somewhere around the 920 mark. So another 10 rupees downfall, and that's the right place where you should invest the stock into. And a breakout will only emerge when it starts trading above the multiple top level of around 955. So I suggest that the investors should start accumulating this counter and aggressively buy only when the stock goes above the 955 mark. But we strongly believe, or we strongly advocate, that the view should not be of 1 month, but it should be of about a year's time from now. So if the investor holds on to this investment for a year, we believe the targets would be anywhere around 1300 to 1400 levels.
Okay, the stocks actually had a good run in the last 1 year or so. It's up over 70%, and today's weakness could be on back of UBS coming out with a report where they've initiated a sell rating on Reliance Industries with a target price of 870. Okay, that's the view coming in on Reliance, but let's go across to our next query. This one comes from Lakshay Tambi, who calls us from Jaipur. Hi Lakshay, good afternoon. Tell us what's your query on.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I have 200 shares of Idea at 110 with view of 1 month, and 100 shares of Coal India at 270 with long-term view.
Okay, let me just address your query on Idea. If you can check where Idea is at 104 and he's got 200 shares of Idea at 110. Kiran, I'll come to you. What would you advise him? He's got a 1 month view here. Should he book his losses, or he can hold on for 1 month?
No, 1 month, definitely a hold. I think looking at the charts, the worst is over is what the chart suggests, and stop loss of 90 would be suggested. If the stock goes below the 90 mark once again, then again I think the bad news will start following up. So looking at the chart patterns, we believe that at current levels it is rightly priced, and a technical breakout would happen only if the stock goes above the 117 mark. So for now, it's a hold. Stop loss would be 90. Aggressive buying would be only after the stock moves above the 118, 120 mark.
Okay, Lakshay, so advice on Idea from Kiran is you can hold on but put a stop loss there, which is around 90, which Kiran is advocating. The next query he had was in Coal India, where he has 100 shares at price of 270 rupees. Can we check where Coal India is trading currently? We've seen some bit of action in this stock in the recent past. It's at about 300, so he is pretty much in the money, and he has a long-term view here. Sandeep, Coal India, what's the call? Because this has been an underperformer in the last 1 year or so. Do you think the tide is turning for Coal India?
Yeah, in fact, I must appreciate that he has entered at a very good level, in fact, and somehow I feel that now since it has gone up, so it can only be a hold, and somewhere around 270, 265, 250 levels, it's actually trading for a long time. And those levels, it was very attractive also, and the dividend paying story is also very good with the company. And in fact, in last 2-3 years, it has been giving handsome, dividends. So it's a good dividend play, and it's a good risk reward play also. And I feel the downside risk is very low still here, So I think he can hold on to the stock, and once it declines, it come down, he can also average his buying.
Okay, so hold on to it and buy more if it falls. Ronak Patel has written to us on Twitter, and he has bought 1,000 shares of Nagarjuna Fertilizer at 20 rupees with a 3-year view. Well, Nagarjuna Fertilizer is a low price stock, so to say, in terms of ticket size. But interestingly, this is not a penny stock that just moves up and then, crashes. Interestingly, for last 1 year, this one also had a decent run up, like any of the leading stocks of the same segment, whether you look at RCF, you look at Coromandel or any other stock. So in 12 months, this stock has given you a return of 130%. Sandeep, do you like it fundamentally? Do you like the story in fertilizer per se? Would you advise him to hold on to this one for next 3 years?
See, certainly the whole fertilizer sector is certainly in action, and the kind of, the quality this sector provides, I think it's very comfortable. And I feel, as I already, I have a couple of times recommended a stock called RCF from this sector, and still I'm very bullish about the stock, and it has been trading at 52 near all-time high, 52-week highs. So I think one can certainly buy RCF. GNFC is very good. GSFC. So these are three stories, and even Chambal. But I'm skeptic about the quality of Nagarjuna fertilizers since it's a low ticket stock. So it can give good returns sometimes. Once all the stocks spike. But still, I feel that he can certainly switch on to RCF if he has a 3-year time frame, because there the real estate stories also, their value unlocking stories there of around 45 to 50,000 crores of land bank in Chembur. So I feel this can be a very good multi-bagger story. So certainly RCF is one stock you can certainly look at from 3-year time frame.
In fact, Sandeep, our next query is from Ranjan on Twitter. He too has a query on RCF. I think he's holding 150 shares at a price of 110. So Ranjan, your query is answered there, but he also has a short-term view. So I'll take this query to Kiran as well. He's also bought 100 shares of Bajaj Finance at a price of 1,835. Kiran, first a view on Bajaj and then technically a view on RCF. What would you advise?
Bajaj Finance is a hold from my side. The chart pattern is pretty strong. We are into an intermediate trend for now. I don't see the price going below the 1600 mark or a 1625 mark. So that's a swing low as well. And also the second fact that the stock has taken the support at these levels a couple of times, which makes it a strong support. However, aggressive buying will only happen if the stock starts moving above the 1850 mark. So that's the view on Bajaj Finance. On RCF, you said, right?
Yes, yeah. Kiran.
Yes, RCF, we still have a hold rating on this counter. We believe that the stock has the potential to move to a level of 135, 140 in a couple of months from now. So all investments should have a strict stop loss of around 98. 102 was a major resistance level, which will now act as a strong support. So below this support, you should have a stop loss and take a review at around the 135, 130, 135 mark.
Okay, that's the call coming in for you here on RCF. Let's look at EIH, or Eastern India Hotel, as it was called. The stock has gained some 31 rupees. That would be what, 15%? Or more than that, over the last few minutes, there's a sudden spike.
Yep.
There is no development as such.
Nothing as such, but actually it's the entire pack, Pradeep, which has gone up. So EIH is up 17%. I think EIH holds about 30% stake in EIH Associated. That's the other listed entity, if you could just pull up that as well. So EIH Associated is up almost 10%. You've got Hotel Leela Ventures, that's trading with gains of 2%. Look at Royal Orchid. That too has surged in trade, and the gains have come in the last 5 minutes. So the pattern is same for all these counters. Maybe there is some development, but we don't know about it yet. But clearly the hotel pack has seen good gains. Royal Orchid is up almost 7%. You've also got Advani Hotels, that too is listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. That's seen gains of almost 2%. So I think the gains are across the board. If you could just also pull up Taj GVK Hotels, that too has gained almost 5% in trade. So do keep an eye on the hotel industry. And I think last week also in one of the trading sessions, there was a surge which was seen in the entire pack.
Yeah, there was. In fact, there was a sustained move for at least 2 days. And now, once again, we see this up move. We'll see if there is any update, any fundamental development.
I don't know if they're expecting anything from the budget.
Yeah,
I was just coming to that.
Something or the other. Like yesterday, there was a significant move in gems and jewelry stocks on hopes that something will happen for that sector. We'll keep track of any such development. But let's move on to the next query. Amit Rai. He has bought 100 shares of Ambuja Cement. Amit writes to us on Twitter. He has bought at 278. He has a short-term view. Kiran, what do you say? Hold or exit?
Practically all the cement stocks are looking very strong, and Ambuja Cement in particular is also looking great. We have a hold rating on this counter. We have a short-term target of around 190. Which should be surpassed in the next couple of weeks from now. For all long positions with the extreme short-term view, we have a stop loss at around 270 marks, so 8 rupees risk and a good kind of return from here on. And for a medium-term perspective, we believe that this counter will outperform the markets, and we will see the stock around 330, 350 levels in a couple of months from now.
Okay. That's the view on Ambuja Cement. The entire cement pack, remember, has been in focus since yesterday. We've seen gains for both the large cap as well as the mid cap companies specifically are in action today. You've got the likes of Orient as well as Mangalam Cement, which has surged after that news report suggested that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and Mr. Damani jointly are looking to acquire the assets of Banani Industries. Okay, there are some live queries which we've received on Facebook. Let's take Devendra Jain's query. He wants to invest in EPC Industries as well as Godrej Agrovet with a long-term view. He's asking if this is the right time to enter into these stocks. Sandeep, EPC Industries and Godrej Agrovet, what's the view there?
See, somehow I feel that, Godrej Agrovet, he can certainly buy on declines. It's a good story, and I feel that, this budget will certainly try to give lots of, measures, come up with lots of measures relating to agri stories and agri industry. So I feel Godrej, since the, pedigree is also very good and the company has been growing pretty fast in a recent IPO only. So I feel Godrej IPO, Godrej Agrovet certainly he can buy on declines at somewhere around 590 to 570. And what was the other stock?
EPC Industries.
Yeah, again, it's also an agri-related story, something, similar to Jain irrigation, but still, EPC Industries is again from the Mahindra group. So I feel that, this is a better story to go with irrigation, micro irrigation, and the kind of focus the government has on the irrigation theme altogether. So I feel EPC will do well. Again, it's a buy on decline story because somehow all these mid caps and small caps might give some correction in the next 2 to 3 days. So one has to wait for some time to enter at some right levels.
Okay. So that's the call on both these stocks in run-up to budget. We normally see a lot of action in these stocks and also getting queries. Sunny Sevani has bought 100 shares of Avanti Feeds at 25.45 with a 3-month view. Well, he has a trading view, and 25.45 I think is very close to the current market price, so he won't really be disappointed. But, Kiran, it's interesting that you get into a stock after it goes up 3 to 4 times, and then you want a trading gain within 3 months. This stock has actually not gone anywhere over the last 2 months or so. What would be your advice? I mean, trading gains are definitely not coming easy here. Maybe it could reverse.
Rightly said, Pradeep. We don't believe that the chart pattern does not suggest that we will see an uptick in this counter in the very short term. However, in the long term, we believe that the stock has a good potential. The stock has already rallied from a level of around 400 in early 2017 to a level of 2900. And after such a vertical rally, it is obvious that the stock would do some price correction or a time correction. Now, if the stock is doing a time correction, it is healthier, and this is exactly what is happening. So I would just suggest that the investor should sit with a strict stop loss below 2400, hold on to the investment that he has made. The next rally would be seen only after we get a breakout of this consolidation zone, which would happen between for a level of around 2750 or so. Once the stock moves about 2750, we will see the stock really rally, the kind of rally that we have seen in the last 1 year. So our targets would be pretty high with a strict stop loss, a good risk to reward ratio to sit with. And with time, the stock will give market outperformance.
All right, that's the view on Avanti Feeds then. Our next query for the day on Facebook comes from Gaurav Karodia. He wants to invest in Nitin Spinners and he has a 6-month view. He wants to know if this is the right time to put his money or not. And well, this counter in the last 1 year has given you returns of 45%. Kiran, but at current levels of 113, would you advise Gaurav to take a fresh bet?
Is that Nitin Spinners you're talking?
Yes, Kiran.
Yes, Nitin Spinners, I believe the chart pattern is pretty similar to Avanti Feeds, but the rally has not been that significant. However, a strict stop loss of 100 would be suggested, and a move above 125 will trigger the next fresh move on this counter. The stock is under the consolidation, and we believe that once the stock moves above that 125, 130 mark, we will see a good kind of rally on this counter. The targets then would be around 170 odd levels. For now, a strict stop loss below the support, and support, as I said, is at around the 100 to 103 mark. So a stop loss of 99, 98 levels is suggested.
Okay, that's the call on Nitin Spinners. Moving on to the next query coming on. Rakesh Kamble has in fact called us from Pune. Rakesh, good afternoon. What's the query?
Good afternoon. I just want to enter into the Morpan lab. Is this current situation good to enter into the Morpan lab for around 3 years long term?
Any reason for your interest, or have you got any advice?
Not just thing. I have not given any advice, but long term back I have invested for around 3 rupees, and I exit around 10 rupees. So again, it is good news. So I want to go inside.
You bought at 3, exited at 10. Is there an opportunity once again to get in and hold on for around 3 years or so? Sandeep, what do you say?
See, somehow, it was a penny stock, and then, there was some performance here. The company also markets some products, but still, I somehow don't feel like, tracking the stock, and somehow the fundamentals are also not all that great. So I feel that, and penny stock, rather it's a 2 rupees Facebook face value stock. So generally, people really get attracted to these kind of prices in pharma space. So, but again, since the pharma space has really underperformed the whole market, so I feel that there are so many stories one can certainly look onto, and you never know. Yesterday it was banks, today it was IT, tomorrow it can be pharma also, which can take the index up. So I think Sun Pharma can be a good bet. One can certainly look onto these bigger names like Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, and Aurobindo Pharma, Ipca Labs. So I think I have more comfort out here investing.
Okay, and before we move ahead to the next query, just have a look at what's happening with rupee. In fact, in the last 1 hour or so, rupee has slipped quite a bit. It saw a low of 63.91 rather, currently at 63.83. So some recovery from lower levels, but a sudden move, a sudden drop in rupee. And that is really interesting because dollar has been continuously declining and rupee was gaining, but looks like there is some reversal. We should also look at what is actually happening with dollar in global markets maybe.
Yep, and that's the update on the currency market. But let's just take one more query before we wrap the show. On Facebook, Ravi Kumar has written to us, and he's bought 2,000 shares of Reliance Communication at a price of 35. He's got a short-term view. He wants to know what should he do with this particular investment. Kiran, I'll come back to you since it's a short-term query. What would you advise Ravi Kumar to do? 2,000 shares of Reliance Communication at 35?
Navneet, the stop loss I would like to suggest would be at around the 29 mark on a day-end closing basis. Till the time the stock trades above this 29 mark, a hold is suggested. Momentum is quite lull for now. We would see the stock move in a sideways zone because we have seen a strong rally from a level of 10 to 40. So some time action is bound to happen. However, a move above 36 will trigger a fresh breakout on the chart. So for now, hold with the stop loss below 29.
Okay, that's the view in Reliance Communication. Keep a stop loss around the mark of 29 is the advice coming in from Kiran. But remember, this is the counter which has rallied sharply in last 1 month. It's up almost 172%. It did slip below the mark of 10 as well in the month of December. All right, on that note, we'd like to thank both our guests. Thank you very much, Kiran and Sandeep, for joining us today and helping our viewers with their queries. Well, that's all that we have on this edition of Ask BQ.
But remember, we are just a tweet, post or a call away. So keep your queries coming and we promise to address all of them through our shows. You can also log on to BloombergQuint.com, search for #AskBQ and get answers to all the queries that were discussed on the show. Power Lunch is up next. Keep watching Bloomberg Quint Live.